there, welcome and welcome back to my channel, Tales from the Fifth House. My name is Beauty Be Known, and today my goal is to channel a clear and concise message for you, the viewer. I do hope that this message finds you all safe and well. I wanted to hop on here and just channel a little message, not only for you guys, but also for myself. I feel like I've been being reminded to give myself grace. So I just want to start off with that, like kind of channeling or just sharing that with you because, again, if you are here, you are part of my collective, I'm a part of your collective, and we may be going through similar experiences. But I've been really having to remind myself to give myself grace, to understand that as someone who is empathetic and self aware of things and just super clear on me being a spiritual being, having this human experience, how that impacts myself, and how to navigate that basically. So I'm gonna dive right in because, again, if you're anything like me, I can give grace to the worst of them, but sometimes I'm my own worst critic. And I struggle giving myself that same compassion that I so freely give out to others. And I feel like this is just a reminder. Ooh, you got our first card out. Yeah, the Hierophant. Love that. I'm going to keep going, though. I feel like this is just a reminder. And again, I'm a Taurus. If you're a Taurus, this reading may definitely resonate with you if you have Taurus placements. But aside from that, the Hierophant represents commitment. It's tradition. It's for me, there's a lot of times this represents like solid foundations, things of that nature. Let's keep going. Again, I just feel like I'm being called to trust the process. And again, as cliche as that is, this wants to come out. I think it's true. Trust the process, trust the progress that I know I've been making, even if, the tangible, material kind of effects of that are not yet seen. Lead by faith and not by fear. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Page of Wands. This is youth. Fresh is what I wanted to say. Fresh energy here. Perhaps there's like a new hobby, a new skill. Just like I'm really getting like a spark. This is kind of the spark. This is the beginning. And it's not the Ace of Wands, which is like newness, but this is, pages represent novices. There's also a rabbit in the back, which just caught my attention. Rabbits represent fertility. I think of youth and activeness, and I think now's the time to be active. This is giving me the same energy reminiscent of my last channel reading from the bees. It's that same kind of energy, time to be active, time to explore. That's what I get. This page here is kind of examining this wand, and it's time to like examine the life around you, like be active in that sense, not a passive participant in your life, but an active participant. And I know some people give a lot of flack to those who are like, I'm the main character, I'm the main character, but I actually think that is within reason a healthy mindset to have, because we are all the centers of our own unique individual personalized universes in that sense, and you should be the main character in your own life. If you're not, you're doing it wrong in my opinion. But let's see what else we have. Oh gosh, Taurus energy is here heavy, y'all. Definitely need to sit down and do this reading. We have Empress, Venus energy, and then we have Wand energy. And again, I was talking about birth and fertility, and the Empress is all of that, like personified, really. A lot of the times this is divine feminine energy, and again, this is beyond gender. It's just about archetypes that we're familiar with throughout time. And divine feminine energy is one of those kind of archetypes in a sense. And when you think of the divine feminine as an archetype, she would represent creation essentially, as this is the mother of all. This is Gaia energy, Mother Earth energy. This is creation. This is fertility. This is abundance. This is just I have so many words going on my head. I'm thinking of that Lady Gaga gif where she's like talented, beautiful, da 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 da. If I ever learned how to insert gifs into videos, that one would be right there. But essentially, it is all that is. That's what I think of when I think of the Empress. And I feel like sometimes we forget that we all have this divine feminine energy within us, excuse me. And again, it's beyond gender. This is just humanity and more so spirituality and understanding that we are, I was going to say dualistic is what's coming to mind, but we are full of energies, whether you look at us as astrologically, if you think about a natal chart, how we have many placements. Some people think they're just one sign, sun sign, but we are a, you know, combination of many signs, many energies. And I think part of the work that we're here to do as human beings is to balance our unique energy and create the things that we are meant to bring forth into the world. And again, with this fire energy, there's a lot of fire energy here. And even this Empress in this deck is holding like a wand. But you see, she's mixing it. She's using it to create. And it's funny because I had just said this is not the time to be passive, but to be active. But then we get the Empress, and the Empress is receptive energy, divine feminine energy receives in that sense. And it creates in a more, I want to say, conceptual way, whereas I feel like divine masculine energy might create in a more procedural way. They have to take that action, put those that, and I say they, but that's being more action oriented, taking the steps toward what it is that you're trying to create in that sense. It would be creating, the making, the doing, again, active energy, whereas divine feminine energy is, again, receptive. It receives, it ponders, it thinks, and that is also a form of creation, which I think we forget. Our thoughts truly are a reality, and I tend to follow that school of thought. And if that's the case, then our musings, our thoughts, our dreams, our wishes, our hopes are all a part of this idea of creation, right? It's all essentially creating realities upon realities and timelines. And again, I can go on and on about this, but I say all that to say this. It seems like we are in, again, we as the collective, because I'm a part of this just along with you, we are in this time period where we are being asked to, I'm hearing come into alignment. And we do have the Ace of Wands here. The Ace of Wands is usually about incoming communication, but it's quick moving, it's fast energy. Then we also have the Hierophant here, which is like taking the traditional path. This would be the status quo of things. Sorry about that noise outside, but I feel like this is really about balance. And I feel like I say this a lot, but I know this is a huge thing for me, just based like astrologically on my chart. So I have a grand water trine and a grand fire trine, which basically I have all of the water signs and all of the fire signs in my chart and some major placements. And and these are opposing energies, fire, water, right? And for me, I feel like a lot of my lessons are all about being internally balanced and knowing when to move and tap into my more fiery energy and when to be receptive and pull back and create in that sense. And it's like a delicate dance that I've um, you know, literally been mastering and attempting to master. And I think I've definitely made progress with that. But it's funny because I started off by saying like this is about giving yourself grace, because I feel like when I fall short of where I feel like I should be in terms of my self mastery and just how I react to things and how I'm viewing things and being okay with not being okay or not feeling okay, more so is where I'm at, and knowing when to lean into which energy, because I have both. We have all. Um, and it's up to us to have the discernment to know which situations in our life call for which, so we can get, the most favorable, beneficial outcomes that are aligned to what it is that we're trying to create. But I'm going to get some more cards. And then not too long, it's just supposed to be a quick message, and I can already feel myself being really chatty today. Or right now, I'm just ready to chat. But I'm going to get one card. What are we creating? Is the question that's on my mind. Oh, so we have the Five of Wands coming out, which is interesting. Because are we creating conflict? What are we creating? More wand energy, though. Ooh, Seven of Swords, also interesting. And we have the Page of Cups. Bottom of the deck, we have Three of Cups. I'm going to get one more just to make sure I'm fleshing out this energy. We have the Eight of Cups. And we have the Nine of Wands. So it's like the reading took a turn, but now that I'm sitting back and I'm thinking about it, what are we creating? We are creating, and we have double eights here. So 8-8 might be resonant for you. Maybe you've been seeing eights, 7-5, and the Page of Cups. I feel like we are creating a pathway away from conflict, from betrayal, from deceit, from creating a pathway away from things that are not in alignment with us. And we have the Page of Wands and the Page of Cups. And I was talking about those opposing energies. We have fire and water, Aries, Sag, Leo, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. And these are opposing energies. These are opposing signs because their nature is opposite, polar opposites in a sense. Sorry for knocking the camera. And again, I feel like more balance is needed. More balance is being brought to us. We're being presented with opportunities to become more balanced, especially when we face external kind of opposition, external conflict. And it's funny because what I'm hearing is essentially if, our thoughts create our reality and you follow that school of thought, then the external conflict that we experience in our waking life is reflective of whatever internal conflicts that we might be having. That we are not either aware of or working on or have really reflected, been introspective on, and perhaps we're getting an opportunity to really learn more about ourselves. And in turn of I actually feel like it's the opposite. Now that I'm sitting here and I'm talking about it, because we had spoken about giving yourself grace. And again, if we have given grace to those in our lives who have caused us conflict and betrayed us, and what these two cards represent, yet we've still been able to extend them grace, we need to be able to extend grace to ourselves in the exact same way. And I feel like this is all about balancing, and like again, this is closing cycles. We have the Nine of Wands, more fire energy, but the Nine is near the end of a cycle. She is nearly there. And I kind of love this depiction of the Nine of Wands in particular because normally it's the wounded soldier who is clearly been harmed in the battle, but is still standing and still ready to fight if needs to be. Doesn't want to, but is ready. And if we look really closely, she's definitely bruised and battered here. But her hand is still open and she's still ready to receive, despite perhaps some of the conflict she's dealt with, the deceit, the betrayal, whether that's internal or external. It's all related. But she's ready to move forward past that. But it starts with the choice. And I feel like part of that choice is to lean into this balance, maybe leave some things, people, places, and behind. But it's also going to be like leaving mindsets behind, like how you view yourself, especially. And not just others, because again, we can view others in the highest light and give grace to all those who need it on our path. And yet we struggle to turn that same grace inward, to extend that compassion to ourselves. And it feels like we're coming out of that energy where we can start to, you know, give ourselves grace and make amends with the past is what I get from the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is all about leaving things behind and kind of going on a spiritual journey. in a sense. Not yet the hermit, where it's that deep introspection and sometimes isolation that comes with that. But this is more so I'm leaving something behind and I'm going to start that journey forward to see what else is out there. It's kind of what I'm getting from this card. This is a very interesting reading. What are we creating? I'm going to pull another clarifier for this because I still want to know what's the Seven of Swords and the Five of Wands. I'm just getting conflict. We have the Knight of Cups. Bottom of the deck, Three of Wands. I feel like this is emotional turmoil or making peace. Surrender is what I'm hearing. Surrender not only to external conflict, but the internal conflict that we might be facing. I'm going to see if I can get some oracles for this as well. Peace, simplicity. Let's split the deck. I also wanted to go back to this cat. Where is it? Not a black cat, but a brown cat. Just interesting. When I think of what cats represent, that's kind of like I think of intuition and like discernment and having connections to other realms, and her hand is open to receive. So maybe this is a time to really check in with the divine. Oops. And as I said that, this card popped out. We have adventure. Yeah, it's time to like move forward, try new things. It says wonderful new experiences fill my life. Again, we did have that Eight of Wands. This is coming in quick, so maybe opportunities are going to present themselves to you where you are going to have to make tough choices. Or, I'm framing it as that way. You're going to have to make choices. And for some people, that can be tough. Let's say that again. Sorry for hitting the camera, but it's going to be time to make choices, to make moves, but also to know when to pull back and maybe to make sure you are manifesting, creating these choices, these opportunities from a place of grace, from a place of compassion for yourself, from a place of abundance and not from a place of lack, um, scarcity mindset. Because if our thoughts create our reality and you are perpetuating a negative thought loop, your external kind of experiences are going to reflect that in one way or another. And again, that could be on small scales, that could be on large scales. But it is up to us to quiet that noise, that conflict. Sorry, I don't mean to shake these like that, but I'm getting that this is what we've been creating, more like conflict and betrayal because of some perpetuating thought loop we have about ourselves or others that are then presenting us with these challenges or these experiences to always to learn from, but maybe to help us become aware of this pattern and fix it. We have passion coming out, which makes sense with all of the wands we have on the board. I passionately accept and love myself. Yeah, and again, I think a lot of this is internal. I think a lot of this is internal because we have the Empress on the board. Let me get one more oracle. Playful. My joy is the greatest gift that I give to others. This feels very much so internal. At the bottom, we have strength. This feels very much internal and very much so it's time we become aware of our thought patterns and what we're creating in our external world. If we are the Empress, again, this goes beyond gender, but if we are in this divine, feminine, creative kind of energy right now, that's a powerful energy to be in. And we got to be aware of what we are creating. Are we closing out cycles quickly? We have the Eight of Wands to the Nine of Wands, Eight of Cups, Pages. We have Page of Cups, Page of Wands, Knight of Cups as well, with the Hierophant and the Two of Swords. So it's like, what are we creating? What are we creating? Do we want to create this? Conflict, strife, deceit, betrayal, you know? Or we want to create this progress, leaving things behind that no longer serve us and being able to close out these cycles. Again, nines are next to tens. Tens are completions of cycles. So we're nearly there at the end of a very tough cycle. What are we creating? What are we being receptive of? I'm also being called to her bag. She's carrying a staff, but what is that in her bag? It looks like what I'm getting is a cornucopia, which is like a signal of abundance. But in this sense, I'm getting like knowledge and just carrying, like what are we carrying? Anything in this sack after what she's been through best serve her, and if not, she needs to let it go. Again, Eight of Cups, she needs to walk away. There's no need to carry anything that is weighing you down as you close this cycle. It's time to be mindful again of what are you creating. I'm so guilty of that. Just sometimes it's in my nature, y'all, to kind of like, and I know everyone says I overthink. Yeah, I think a lot of us do. um, and it's like I can really ruminate on things is the best word I can describe it, and just try to dissect. And it's really, in a sense, an attempt, I believe, in a sense, to understand my experiences so that I can, extract the wisdom, extract the knowledge that I do want to take with me and put in my knapsack as I move forward. But I feel like oftentimes I get stuck in that stage, and especially if it confuses me or things were left unsaid or it didn't end how I expected, I tend to like, you know, I view the situation like a Rubik's Cube, and I'm switching sides and sides. And, what's happening here? What about this way? What about this way? And it's something that I'm really working on. But I feel like spirit wants us to move in a more like fresh, light energy. They want us to take our attention off of wherever it's been, and focus on our creations. What are we creating with our emotions, our thoughts, um, and then what are we creating with our actions, and balancing the two, being able to really know when to lean into which. And it's really a delicate dance. I think that we are naturally leaning towards one side or the next, but I do also believe that some people are very balanced. They walk that kind of, they have both sides of that mastered in that sense. And I feel like we're really being called to move towards that too also. And I see the Hierophant, that's like a spiritual leader. So I think of mastery as well. But let's roll some dice, get some dice on the board for more signs of confirmation. We have a flashlight, we have a mass. And again, if anything, these can also be for you. I do like to sometimes provide my own interpretations, but today I'm feeling like I'm just meant to show you these. And feel free to drop them in the comments if any like resonate with you. We have a magic wand, a lock, mass, and a flashlight. And it's funny today, the song that's been playing in my head on the day I'm filming this, at least, is "Money, Power, Respect" by the Locks. And Little Kim goes, "Money, power, respect is the key to life." And I'm really hearing it's the key to life. And when I think about the Hierophant, traditionally on this card, there's a key at the foot of the what I believe is a figure of the Pope. Again, on the traditional Rider-Waite stack. And I'm getting here that like you have the keys, or like the keys are right there. It's up to you to pick them up and to move through the door, essentially. But again, no one can do that for you. No one can make that move for us. So let's see. We got any signs? Right, what sign is that? Sagittarius. So very fitting from when I'm filming this. There's that fire energy. Taurus. I knew you would come out. And Scorpio, opposite. This is really interesting. So we have Sag, Taurus, Scorpio. Again, I am filming this during Sag season, so perhaps this energy is very strong, very potent. And I kind of feel like I've been rambling in this um, video, and it took me a while to get to the message. But please do let me know if you take anything from this. I'd really be curious to see if this resonates with anyone. But what I'm getting from this message can be very potent for right now if you happen to catch this during the upload, or for whenever you are watching this. And again, it doesn't have to really be about the season. Sag energy, that's Jupiter ruled energy, is very expansive. It's very like and I just want to do this one, vast. It's very It's a different kind of depth. Don't think water, but think of like, I don't want to like, I'm thinking of space, that kind of depth, right? Because space is deep as well if you think about it. But what I'm getting is that we have maybe been so used of being in that kind of like energy. We do have a lot of water imagery here, and we even have the Empress who's like stirring the pot with the tears. Um, I'm losing my train of thought, but I'm saying all that to say this. I feel like we're being called to expand, to be like Jupiter, like Zeus, limitless in our power, in our dreams, in our passion for life, for ourselves, for our dreams, for the things that we want to create. Because again, I think this is at the end of the day another message about creation, just to be mindful of what you are creating, because we are co-creators with the universe. I do truly believe that. And whether we're perceiving the experiences that we're having as positive or negative is very much so dependent on how we feel about ourselves, and how we feel about our experiences, and how we feel about those around us. And there's a lot of programming that goes into that. So this is not something we all are aware of, or all are aware of to the same extent. And it's really kind of our journey to find what that is. Like get into balance with what it is you are supposed to create. I do feel like we're all here with unique individual purposes that only we can, you know, uh, play out in our own unique ways. Um, and again, you could be a singer, that could be my dream, or my purpose, I should say, rather. And that's your purpose as well, but you are not me, and I am not you, so we're going to live out those purpose differently, is what I'm feeling called to say. But I feel like we all have this spark within us. Again, with the Page of Wands that came out, we all have this spark within us. And um, it's up to us to kind of, you know, create with that, make something tangible with that. But maybe it starts internally. Again, we do have water and we have Scorpio here. And I was talking about depth. And Scorpios are kind of known to be very most emotionally deep, and to kind of, um, I don't want to say require, but they are known to, again, be really deep people, and kind of deepen the perspective of those who are around them, for better or worse. Whether they're doing this consciously or unconsciously, there's something about Scorpio plutonic energy that when it's around, it immediately unearths things that are underneath the surface, that are deep, and it brings them up. And this is all in service of transformation, which is something that Pluto, Scorpio rules, the death, rebirth cycles that are literally natural to life and to all that is. If you really think about it, Scorpio embodies that energy very naturally. And lots of people have a lot of reactions to Scorpio, but I think it's because of that fact that they're able to, again, pull those things from the depth. I remember I said Sag is deep too, but in a different kind of way. Because when I think of Sag too, they're opposite of Gemini, and I don't think Sag is get enough credit for how intellectual they can be, and just how innovative, and just how big they think in that sense. Being the sister sign of a mercurial ruled sign. Um, but that's beside this point. A little bit about Taurus. Again, Taurus energy here, heavy with the Empress. This is Venus energy. Venus is, or Taurus, I should say, excuse me, is the opposite of Scorpio. And again, this whole reading has been about balance, I think, and knowing when to play and when to pull into that passion, when to be receptive and when to be active, and being aware that as we are responding to external conflicts that we are facing, we are also creating them. And I don't know who said this, but I watched a reading, and I'm going to wrap it up after this. But they basically said it's like life is basically like you're playing. Slow down, I'm getting too excited. There is a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It, I believe. You should definitely check it out. It's one of the quickest reads you'll read in your life, but also very impactful. And keeping that idea in mind that life is a game, there was a reader who I encountered who had basically mentioned, like, in life, we are essentially living out, let's say if this were the school of life, the game of life, every level is one that we've already designed for ourselves. So our challenges that we face are very unique to the mindsets, the beliefs, the thoughts, the values that we already have about ourselves, about the world, about the people around us, in it, of it, etc. And we are just playing the game, playing it out. And we are trying to beat each level in that sense, pass each test, if you want to think of it as a school metaphor, symbol. And when you think of it that way, it's one easier to see yourself as that main character because literally you're playing the game. This would be an RPG game. You would be the main character. But it's also like nothing that comes across your path is something that you cannot. It's like it's never going to be something you cannot face. It's never going to be something you cannot pass because you've designed it. And every time you do, you level up. You earn that wisdom. You are able to take that with you to the next level. But that is heavily dependent on our mindset and how we're viewing some of the challenges, obstacles, and things that we experience in life. And again, I started off by this by saying like it is okay to, and I don't even think of this as like a pass fail type of thing, but it is okay to admit that like wow, this is a challenge and this sucks, and be completely aware of the fact that on some level, this is a challenge that I might have asked for or wanted to experience, and how can I bring it back to where is the positive in this, and not in a toxic positivity way, but how can I move forward? For some people, that's by finding the positive in the experience, and then they're able to move forward. For some people, that's creating something, transmuting that energy, and that's a big message. I feel like that's here, but we have to do something with the feelings, with the energy. We cannot hold on to it because then it leaves us stagnant. Maybe it creates this type of negative kind of energy here, yuck, don't want any of that. I just think we're just being really called to focus on what we are creating. Again, this Empress, she has these tears, and it's the same kind of water that's in this pot that she is there kind of absent-mindedly almost, it seems, just stirring the pot, just kind of sitting there creating on her throne nonetheless. But what is she creating? And is this what she really wants to see? Especially with this particular interpretation of the Empress. I'm being called to read it, so I will, because in this Ask the Witch deck, this is what I'm using. Every card is connected to an ancient like folk tale. So let's see. We have Ceridwen. In Welsh legends, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Ceridwen is remembered at times as a powerful sorceress and at other times a goddess. She was able to unleash extraordinary powers as she walked among mortals, sharing their passions and desires. Her son, Morfran, was the ugliest child ever born. So Ceridwen, and now I feel like I changed her name on you guys, decided to compensate for this horrible aspect by granting him a special gift. She prepared a magic potion in her cauldron that cooked for a year and a day. The first three drops of which would bestow wisdom, and the rest which would be lethal poison. There's that like balance. I'm really getting that duality coming up here. As the blind old man Morda and the young Gwyn watched over the cauldron, three drops of the potion splashed into Gwyn's thumb. He licked it off, enticing the terrible wrath of the sorceress. He tried to escape by transforming himself into different things, and when, at last, he turned himself into a grain of wheat, Swirden turned herself into a chicken and ate him. He began to grow in her womb, and after he was born, he grew to be the famous bard, the personification of poetry and prophecy. In her cauldron, the empress had cooked the terrestrial asset of knowledge, which through poetry became the art of seeing the secret nature of things. She is a protector of affection, a dispenser of magic that transforms all those who receive it. The empress's greatest teaching is not one of personal power, but one of completing one's mission, just as a son to his mother. Beautiful, again, positive attributes to the Empress: creativity, motherhood, healing, beauty, dedication. Negative: laziness, excess. envy, uh, and chaos. Very interesting. Again, lots of, I feel like, parallels there to what I've been talking about in this like dualistic nature. Like her son was born, like life is going to give you lemons, shitty, and I'm using this, I'm using these words just to like describe negative experiences, but life is sometimes going to be less than what we expect, and we have to balance that energy out, take it and transform it into again that knowledge that we can take with us moving forward. I feel like now this reading has come full circle. So if you stayed this long for me to get to the point, kudos to you. I would love a message. Uh, Seeing how this all wrapped together, but I really do think this is all about the knowledge. And this could be again the knowledge awareness that we all create the world that we inhabit, and using this knowledge to then fulfill our unique purposes. I talked about how I really do believe everyone has a unique purpose that we're all here to fulfill. There's something that we are meant here to create. That's why we exist. And the more we walk into alignment with that, I feel like the more I'm going to use the word positive for a lack of a better word, but the more positive experiences we will then encounter because we are living in our purpose, walking in our purpose. And like they said, it's all about the greatest teaching is not one of personal power, but one of completing one mission. And like we all have a mission, we're all here to do things. Part of that mission, I feel like, is learning how to balance our own unique combination of energies. You know, my chart has all of those fire and water placements, but I'm an earth sign. If you think about it, I have a Capricorn stellium, so I have several earth placements as well. So it's just like learning how to navigate our unique journeys so that we can fulfill our purpose. That's what we're all here to do at the end of the day on our own unique levels and our own unique ways, and it's really up to us to see it through. Thank you so much for listening to what I feel like was the rambling of a century. If you got anything from this, I would love to hear what. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for sitting through this, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye.